Hi mates, I'm in Washington DC, Rockville, and we just closed the third MoniQa International Conference on Food Authenticity and Food Allergen Management. We were hosted by the United States Pharmacopoeia, the USP, so we had a great facility available, but also the chance to interact with many participants coming from US agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, USDA, NIST, and USP, of course. We had participants coming from Canada and other countries, so it was really interesting to see how we are facing the same challenges in different ways and under different set of rules. On the first day, I had a talk about food fraud, and I explained how the Commission today is addressing the issue and how the Commission created a knowledge center in the JRC and a rapid exchange information system between the competent authorities in Europe in case of cross-border non-compliances. We have a new regulation on official controls coming through that will be applicable from 14 December 2019, and the scope of this regulation, there is also included the violation of rules with fraudulent practices. So it will be really interesting to see how the national competent authorities in Europe will equip themselves to do such kind of controls. As of today, I see that there is not so much preparedness, the resources are scarce as usual, and generally speaking, on a global level, we still see how this food fraud issue is mostly delegated to the industry because of the lack of knowledge, resources, time, and many other factors. The regulators, also the FDA, are not jumping in very hard on this phenomena, but delegate to the industry, to the private sector, the most of the efforts in fighting food frauds. On the second day, we spoke about allergens and, of course, allergen labeling and precautionary allergen labeling, so the may contain statements were in the spotlight. We had in the room companies like Barilla or Nestle, so it was really interesting to engage with them and discuss with them how the lack of harmonization at international level on the allergen list that has to be mandatory labeled can influence the labels, can influence the supply chain management, and can create burdens for the company. But the bigger problems, in my opinion, are coming from this may contain statement, this precautionary allergen labeling, because besides certain countries where it's basically prohibited, like Japan or Argentina, in most countries is not regulated at all. So in absence of thresholds that tell us what might be labeled as a trace, the companies are in huge difficulties when it comes to take risk management decision, when they have to decide if a food might contain a tiny small amount of an allergen, and if this tiny amount might be something relevant for consumers, relevant for public health, and so has to be labeled, and how this should be labeled. So with a contain statement, so as an allergen effectively contained in the food, or with a may contain statement. This confusion, in my opinion, cannot last forever, and so as usually I pledge the regulators to try to step in and set out these thresholds and these safety levels to help the industry to manage more effectively the whole situation. Of course, it's very difficult to arrive to such result. There are still uncertainty in what these threshold levels might be, but if the scientific world is doing amazing effort in defining such numbers, it's still up to the risk managers to take these key decisions and regulate sensitive matters like this one, because today this may contain statements sometimes are not even followed anymore by allergic consumers, are misunderstood, and are becoming, in some cases, pretty dangerous for the allergic consumers themselves. So, as many times already in the past, I ask strongly the regulators to step in and try to help the industry to supply safe food to the consumers. With this, I thank you all of you for your attention, and I hope to see you soon. I'll move to Toronto now, so possibly I will have good news for you from another conference next week. Bye bye.